I've said this to you guys before, roster building is a 12-month process. And you can't sit here and rest on your laurels. Oh, you went to the Super Bowl, so obviously you're going to go back again.
Your decisions are made above your shoulders rather than in your heart.
Exactly.
And to
Listen, at the end of the day, we're going to do the evaluation. We're going to see what we feel we need, and we're going to do everything we can to get better.
Oh yes, oh yes. Panther fans who used to be depressed were turning the page again this week, moving on to 2016. And as Dave Gettleman said, roster building's a 12-month process, and this is the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, and we're going to help you navigate that 12-month process following all the latest news from the fan perspective. My name is Tony Dunn. This is the C3 podcast. I'm here with my homeboys. Mel Mayock from Vegas. What is up, my friend?
What is going on, man? It's been a long week watching the Underwear Olympics on TV, trying to see who the next Carolina Panther might be, trying to break down the draft. But it's my favorite night of the week, man. Tuesday night, it must be C3. It must be Panther Talk. 365 days a year, 52 weeks a year. We're bringing you Panthers insight from the fans for the fans.
We've got a special guest tonight. Long time since he's been on the show. He's starting to pop his head up recently, and I am starting. No longer are you known as at Smokewagon. We call you at Profit. Sam, what's up, my brother? How are you? Glad to have you on the show.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Guys, tonight's show is Tag, You're It. Josh Norman got tagged today. But we're going to also talk about, we really don't have, outside of the Combine, too much just yet to talk about specifically with specifics when it comes to the Panthers. We'll talk about Josh Norman, the status of the franchise tag, what that means, how he's handling it, and what the Carolina Panthers do going forward. The reason we call Smokewagon the Prophet is because just so happened yesterday, was it yesterday or today? Today, Quiton Coples. Quiton Coples from the formerly known as a New York Jet with the Carolina Tar Heels, the UNC Tar Heels in college, visited with the Panthers, and it was Sam that put us on to that. Mel, tell them how they could interact in the show, and then we'll jump into all of this.
Well, anytime you want a question answer, you can do one of two things. You can either tweet us using hashtag C3, or for those of you watching us out there on YouTube, just go in, leave a comment. The professor's monitoring that board as we go along. He'll answer any questions you throw out there. So be a part of it tonight. Let's have some fun.
Excellent. We're going to jump right on in right now with what's hot on C3.
Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, I'm just getting warmed up. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Dylan and Dylan, because I spit hot fire.
Like a flamethrower to this place.
What's hot on C3? I guess today it was the franchise tag that was finally leveled on Josh Norman. That is the hot topic. No big surprise there. Mel, tell us what the status is. I think he's going to make about a little under $14 million, 13. Comes out to be $900,000 a week.
Ooh. Yeah, it's a big raise for the man. I think he made like $90,000 a week, which, I don't know how you live on such chump change as $90,000 a week. So, thankfully they're bringing him up above the poverty level, bringing him up to about $14 million a year. He ought to be able to be okay for that. But honestly, I think they're going to get a long-term deal done before the actual season starts. But this is just part of the process. I think he wants to be here long-term. I think we want him here long-term. Other folks can make offers on him. We made him the non-exclusive tag, which means folks can offer him a contract. We have the right to match it or not. And if we don't, the team offering the contract has to give us 2 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, there's no way that's happening. Smoke, not surprising news that Josh Norman was franchise tagged. Do you see him on the team long term going forward?
It's a tricky situation. It's in his benefit, like, to sign a deal before July, because he doesn't want to go in and ride this year out and go into next offseason being a 30-year-old quarterback seeking a longer-term deal.
Right.
As far as longevity and maybe more money coming in, I think he said something. He was looking to get paid $14 or $15 million a season. That's not going to happen here.
No, that's not happening in Carolina.
And I know at the beginning of the summer or off season, I think they offered him $7 million. I think it was a 4-year deal, if I'm right. Wasn't it 4 years, $7 million a year, something like that? If his agent has any sense, I know one big paycheck of $14 million sounds great, but I wouldn't want to be in his shoes, get paid that $14 million, then be 30 and not being here and still looking for a deal.
Right.
What I'm saying, it's just it's an age thing.
Yeah, and the other thing too with that is that this is his first contract. This is, outside of his rookie deal, and really the goal as a pro is to get 2 contracts.
Yes.
And that's going to be – it's not going to happen if he signs a deal that is 4 years, that you have to stick to the 4. Maybe if you cut bait after 3. Like, he does need to do the deal yesterday if there's a hope of getting, say, a 2-year contract or better, 3-year or 2 when he's 33.
Yeah, My thinking is, we don't know I don't know nothing about his agent. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We know how Gettleman act. We know how by now how Gettleman runs the show. He's just not going to pill out big money unless it's to keystone players like Cam, Luke, and so forth. If I was Norman, I would do a deal. He's 29, so do a 4-year deal, maybe 29, 30, 31, 32. Something around 4-year, $44 million, $11 million a year.
Yeah.
I think that could be worked out. $11 million a year, get him a good solid 4 years. That's something I would do.
But you know what? I got to jump in there though. You got guys like Byron Maxwell last year signing for $14 million a year, and you got guys like Tremaine Johnson this year getting in that same neighborhood. So if I'm Josh Norman and his agent, I'm arguing I'm worth $14, $15 million a year.
Well,
as much as I want him here and as much as I think he wants to be here, are you honestly going to take $3 million a year less? I wouldn't blame him for playing a little bit of hardball. I mean, you talk about $12 million over a guy's lifetime. That's a lot of jack.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you're at, like, here. We know Gettleman is not going to pay him $14 million a year. That's just not going to happen. He'll find bodies to replace him. That's just not our GM's philosophy. He builds front to back. A 4-year, $44 million deal at 29 years old, that's probably what we're going to shake out at. Now, if he accepts that, or if he wants to, if someone's willing to pay him $60 million, he'll probably go. But either way his age is, he wants to probably get a deal done and not play the franchise tag. He doesn't want to go into next offseason being 30, still looking for us or another team to sign him to the deal he's dreaming of now.
Well, you wish you could strike when the iron's hot. Is that he's going to have a mega season next year to or his stock could technically go down. And so I guess the question though is, do you go for years or do you go for money?
I think you go for guaranteed money.
I think what I would do if I was Norman is, what if you tried to work out a 2-year deal and just make it all guaranteed?
You
I
don't
don't
get a
know.
whole lot of fully guaranteed contracts in the NFL.
Right, but that's because they want to get out of them early when you're old. So, but if you shorten the years on it and you say, look, you're paying me what is he paying, $14 million today, this year? What if you say this is, let's do
2 years, 25, fully guaranteed.
Yeah. Or and get 2 years, and then he could actually play. He would be 31, and he would have an opportunity then to sign a contract for, say, 3 years and get another money deal and walk away with $44 million total or more when it was all said and done. You know, I think Smoke is right, is that the question is Gettleman. I don't think Gettleman is going. I think he holds the cards here in that if he does go to another team, it's not going to be this year. That's just that simple. Nobody is going to give 2 first-round picks and $14 million for him. What team is that close where Josh Norman could be that piece? Is there one team?
The Dallas Cowboys always think they are that close. Always.
I guess they only got 1 year left with Tony Romo. Maybe. That would be interesting. I would take it. I would actually be happy if that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, I love Josh Norman. I really do hope he stays here long term. But if somebody wants to give us 2 first-round picks for the guy, I'd take it.
I don't think
anybody would do it. Yeah.
I mean, that would be.
But what could happen is something like this, where a team works out a deal with Josh Norman to pay him $16 million a year for 3 with us.
He's in and out.
That type of deal. That could happen. I don't think it will. I think he's here long term. But those types of conversations will be going on.
All right, so you don't think anybody would give that, do you, Smoke?
No, and that's leverage. Gettleman's got that as leverage. He knows. Remember that there's only 32 GMs in the NFL, one for each team, and they all work together all year long. It ain't like we're just doing business now. They're at their own offices. They communicate daily, because there ain't but 32 of them in the business.
Well,
right.
Some say there's 31 plus Jerry Jones.
So he knows already. It's a business. He knows.
They know the going price.
Yeah, they know the going price, and he's already probably, if someone's legitimately going to field 2 first-round picks, he already knows that call's been made earlier today. Probably when there's eating breakfast.
He's gonna. Right, you're right. And he's going to be able to tell Josh, hey, we let you take offers from other teams to see your value. You didn't get this $20 million a year, the Revis Island type of money that you were hoping for. So come on, sign with us for $12 million a year. That's my prediction. We sign a long-term deal before the season starts, 3 years, $35 to $37 million with about 25 guaranteed.
All right, Sam, we brought you on here tonight specifically because last week we're talking about defensive end prospects, and you raised the idea of Quiton Coples, former defensive end for UNC Tar Heels. You brought it up on the show. We got kind of excited and got into it, especially when we saw how much he weighed, because I assumed that since he was, I've forgotten from 2012 that, you go in and you're drafted as a 3-4 defensive end. I thought he would have been lighter, and he's a big boy that probably belongs in a 4-3. Turns out you were prophetic. That's why we call you the prophet now, he was visiting today and getting a physical. Does that mean all signs are pointing towards Quiton Coples joining the Carolina Panthers?
75% yes. I don't remember him dealing with no injuries last year. I think he was just a cut from the Jets because he didn't fit. As a second, let's start in the beginning with him so we can everybody can get like a floor to work off of.
Right.
He was drafted 7 picks after Luke Kuechly in 2012. He was the 16th overall pick to the New York Jets. And as we know, that franchise at that point in time was in complete disarray. Rex Ryan's not there no more. The GM's not there no more. That was a time when the Jets were just reaching, trying to find players that would do something on defense. It was just a bad fit. Now we fast forward to this current year. He's under his second regime in 3 years at the Jets. In his third 3 years, 2000. His new regime, Todd Bowles takes over, running similar defense, 3-4 scheme, and he just doesn't fit. And Todd Bowles knows this, so he lets him hang around because he was a first-round pick. There's still a lot of weight with that. We've invested, this kind of money in our first-round pick. But he was cut, and the Dolphins signed him with 6 games left. And the Dolphins had Vernon, Wake, Sue, and they also he got signed by a team that was also in flux, another really unstable organization.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he went from one that's trying to build stability, looks like they're on the right path with Bowles in charge of the head coach, to another place that's in shambles that just throws out money. And then he was released as soon as the season was over. Like, what was it, Tuesday?
So he went to Miami?
Yes.
Who in the world would have known that? I would have not known that. I didn't know that until tonight.
I didn't either.
So he was let go from Miami at the end of this year. Only was there like 6 or 7 weeks. So
started 2 games. No, he was there 6. He was there. He didn't start a single game. He was there for 6 weeks.
Yeah. So you're looking at a player that has first-round grade on him, athletically first-round gifted, has been in just a mess throughout his beginning of NFL career. He's traditionally came
where he made the terrible.
Yeah, he came out of UNC. He
went and signed with UNC.
I can't.
I
hear
mean,
him
to
out.
go play for Carolina, that just shows lapse in judgment.
Okay, enough for that NC State.
Okay. The finish. So when he was coming out of UNC a few years back, he's a 4-3 end. That was his position at UNC. That's his body's type. That's what he plays. He's just been miscast. And to throw you another little tidbit, when we drafted Luke Kuechly 9th overall in that draft, Carolina, Ron Rivera, and Marty Herney, the general manager that was here at that time, vetted Coples twice. And the night before the draft, they done a 24-hour. They went down and met with him one last time.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
So the interest was there, and even Herney's moved on. Rivera had interest. He was the coach, so he was involved in the process. This all leads me to believe he come in with the physical. I don't think I've not heard nothing where he's had any injuries or any surgery or anything like that. So he should get a passing physical. And it's Michael Orr from last year. You're getting a first-round talent that people are down on, getting before free agency opens up. You don't count against comp picks. It's a win-win. You can sign him to a 2-year deal, just like you did Orr, prove it or lose it kind of deal, and could come out with a. You saw what Michael Orr done for us last year. Everybody thought he was trash. He was the 10th best ranked offensive tackle in the NFL last year. The 10th best ranked pass protecting offensive tackle in the NFL, Michael Orr. I mean, so Gettleman hit a home run right there. It's a reclamation project. The talent's there. He's 25.
What type of contract would you sign him for, Smoke Wagon?
What do you? 2 years, $6 million.
Yeah.
Year.
You sign him to the Ed Dixon contract. Or I think we did this for not Jericho. We signed Kurt Coleman.
Yeah.
That's what we did for Kurt Coleman. That's a Kurt Coleman contract right there. A guy that you believe can play isn't going to get a 2-year deal anywhere else, and you're going to get you get to choose if you want to keep him 2 years. Here, let me read you this. This is what Quiton Coples said when he joined the Jets. So he returned to MetLife Stadium with the Miami Dolphins after being cut by the Jets. And he said he was happy to be in Miami. I got my hand in the dirt, he said. With the Jets, I was asked to do other things, but graded upon sacks. So now I got my hand in the dirt and I can rush the QB. It's good. It feels good. And then Todd Bowles was saying he said, I think he's a better player inside as a defensive lineman than he was out as an outside player. And he said, we got a whole bunch of guys inside, and as an outside player, he thought he was okay, but he was a little slow for things they needed him to do. So why does a team like that, what the heck was going on with the Jets? Who thought he was going to be a 3-4 linebacker or deep, whatever that is, whatever they call that?
The GM and the coach that are no longer there.
Right. But is that what? And that is the system that Rex Ryan runs, right?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, it's the same thing. It was Rex Ryan working with Quiton Coples. Didn't work out. He moved on to Buffalo. There's another defensive end there in Buffalo.
Mario Williams.
Mario Williams. Somebody who makes very good decisions as a young man. So. Yeah, he is. There you go. Right? Yeah. So sorry for all you Carolina fans out there. I just like to bust a little bit of chops. But Mario Williams,
they're crying over their basketball team right now.
There you go. But it's the same thing. You take a guy, prototypical 4-3 defensive end. You take him because he's the best player available, and then you try to put a square peg in a round hole, and it doesn't work out. They move on, and then a smart GM like David Gettleman is there to clean up the mess and to get somebody at a bargain. It's called great value.
Yeah, and he's a guy that you just do what he was meant to do. This is his draft profile coming out of UNC on NFL.com. Coples has a blend of speed and power on a massive frame that combine to make an uncommon prospect for the defensive line. Coples has the ability to trigger off the line of scrimmage, use strong hands, overall girth to rush the passer. He doesn't have a bunch of pass rush moves yet, but his pure power makes him disruptive. His footwork is slightly above average for his size, but he overcomes through natural ability and understanding how to leverage. It says this will make him attractive to 3-4 scheme where they can mesh Coples on the line, but he's a good run defender, which was wrong. Coples but the problem with him, it says, is that he can disappear at times from action. He's great on the interior. Doesn't see much action outside the box, and his lateral movement can be the Achilles heel. That doesn't sound like a guy that's supposed to be in a 3-4 system. It kind of sounds like a little bit to me is, and maybe I'm wrong, and I haven't watched him a lot. Big guy that can play inside and outside. It's a little Greg Hardy in him.
I'd agree. I'd agree.
He's built a lot like Julius Peppers. He's not the athlete that Peppers is. So I think Greg Hardy's probably a better comparison. But he's got the body of Julius Peppers.
It's a perfect move. And it also is, you get, like Mel said, it's value. It's a great value signing. Plus, and the other little things, it gives Gettleman leverage. When he's negotiating what he's about to do with Charles Johnson, he says, I just signed Quiton Coples. You want to be part of this? You can't get paid. You want to stick around? If he signs him tomorrow, or if it's not Coples, maybe it's Mario Williams, like Mel said, it gives Gettleman in the front office so much leverage. They can negotiate with Charles Johnson, and it helps set up that big draft. They don't have to rush and grab, we need a pass rusher. It's perfect. It's just the perfect smart signing that our smart GM would do.
I would agree.
the talk on YouTube right now, good conversation going. Panther Nation said that Chris Long is supposed to be coming in for a look, and then Mike Frazier says this, and I'm with Mike on this, is I just can't get excited about Long. It seems he's not what people hoped he would become, or he just couldn't become it because of injury. Can you?
Does that sound? That sounds kind of like Michael Orr.
Yeah, I don't know, but Michael Orr played well. I guess his year where he was really good was in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. But then he struggled with injuries for a few years. Got healthy, came to us.
Yeah, but Chris Long, well, yeah, he did struggle with injuries, but Chris Long played on a defensive line that was intense. Like, those guys get it done over there on St. Louis, and he really hasn't been able to – he's been vocal about how he's been disappointed in his last 2 seasons. I think that – what I think is that I think Coples is the Gettleman move. And I think Jake Long, is it Jake? Oh, I always get it confused with the other guy, Chris Long. Jake Long's the tackle. I think Chris Long, I think he might command more money just because of his name.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think, Smoke, that the Panthers would give Long? Is because I see him on a 1-year deal, while Coples gets the 2.
I think Coples would be the more intriguing option because we've not seen him in a 4-3. We've not seen him do what he needs to do. We haven't had Coach Washington coach him up. I mean, like I said, he's been out there, on no man's land island since he came into the league. Get him in training camp. I just think Coples, and you know why this will be a feather in Gettleman's cap? He could go back and say, I got Luke Kuechly and Quiton Coples, 2 first-round picks out of this 2012 draft. It may it'd just be like a feather in his hat if they could develop that kind of guy.
What if Quiton Coples worked out? You get that, you get the Luke Kuechly, you get the Coples, and then you take their second-round draft pick with Stephen Hill, and you turn him into a starter as well. You can revise. The Jets should have just hired damn Dave Gettleman 3 years, and they would have been in the Super Bowl.
Abby's husband would be jumping off of a cliff about that time.
No, but he likes that. That's one of his little things is fixing. Really watching players,
yep.
see their value, see what they use right. Is people like we're so bad. He is one of the calmest cats there is. I mean, we're so quick to jump the gun. Oh, so-and-so's bad. So-and-so's bad. And he goes, why was so-and-so bad? Was it the guy beside him? Was he playing on a bum ankle? You mean the little things.
Scheme. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean.
For sure. He's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers.
That's
no
right.
doubt about it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you know what? It shows that he is a deep he's been around football long enough to where the flash, the pomp and circumstance, the Mel Kiper effect doesn't hit him. I mean, the very fact that he told Steve Smith to take a hike, Mike Mitchell to take a hike, let Ted Ginn go, brought him back. He is like a Don. He's like the Corleone of.
He is cerebral.
Very cool. Let me. I wanted to ask. I had something else I wanted to ask Smoke Wagon when he was here, and that was about what was it? Not Gettleman. It just totally escaped me. Oh, no, I don't know. What were your initial thoughts of the NFL? We haven't talked about the combine at all. What were your thoughts about that? Like, I know you watch that kind of stuff and you follow it. What'd you see?
The defensive side of the ball is loaded this year. I don't hear nobody say running back. I mean, there's 1 or 2 good backs. 1 or 2. Everybody. There's one or two good wide receivers. But the way I look at wide receivers is if you take the wide receivers that's out there now, are they any better than the ones on the field playing Sundays? I didn't see no wide receiver was better than Kelvin Benjamin out there playing. I didn't see no Odell Beckham's out there playing. I didn't see no Sammy Watkins or the kid down in Jacksonville that's tearing it up now at Robbins. There wasn't none of those guys as good as the new young guys that's already playing on Sundays.
Right.
I really didn't. There was nobody. I mean, the defensive side's loaded. There's some good defensive linemen, there's some good linebackers, and the DBs were good. So, if you had to twist my arm right now, after all said and done, without just sitting back, everybody's screaming we're going to get a defensive lineman at 30. And it is deep. I think we go DB in the first round.
I agree. I've been still going back. I was on Bradley Roby 2 years ago when we got Kelvin Benjamin, and he went like the next pick after us.
And where did he go?
Denver.
The reason
Enough said.
The reason I'm saying DB this year is when it's all said and done, DB, there's some really good character guys. I told you about there's Jalen Ramsey's a good character guy. Hargraves had a couple bump ups, but you take him out, a lot of the DBs are really, I ain't heard nothing bad about them off the field. So you got some clean guys there. They're all really super fast this year. It really caught my eye like, dadgum, them guys are flying on Monday. And Gettleman's yet to invest a high draft pick in the secondary.
Yeah.
I think this is the year. I think at 30, there could be a DB there with a first-round grade, and he's going to say who's graded what. I think it's going to be DB this year. I mean, I think he can get a defensive lineman in the second round. That's going to be just my thought of thinking is I think the defensive tackle or defensive end or whatever he chooses to go at 30 will be just as good a grade as one at 60, whatever we're drafted, 61 or
right.
I don't think the gap will be that big as far as the grading.
You're talking about this, is the guy at 60 going to be as good as Coney Ely? And there is a good chance
they are.
That, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes defensive tackle in the second round.
Yeah.
And you know what is that I don't think that going after a high stock defensive end is really Gettleman's style too much. And I think that Coney Ely was about as high as he wants to go. Coney Ely's still that big body dude, I mean, and who's really there at 30 that sticks outside the pack that much? I feel like this with defensive ends and with offensive tackle. Once you start getting to the 20s, you're already in the second rounders of guys.
Yeah, I like DB. I'm gonna, unless something happens we don't see, like he make a move or something happens. He said in his thing, he said the scouts. I remember this. I wish we could bring up the link to it. And he goes. First of all, I'm not. This is quoting him. He goes, I'm not too upset about the defensive tackles being a good group this year, but he said, the last one he said corners, and he said his scouts were high on the corners, and supposedly if it works like they say they do, everybody takes everybody's opinion for granted. And he's trained the scouts to get what they want. Corner. I'm going cornerback at 30. There's going to be the kid from Clemson, I like the kid from Ohio State. I think that's going to be the pick.
That is Apple. What's his name? Apple?
I think Eli Apple could be the pick. Because a couple things he said in his thing, he goes, "Will I draft a 20-year-old? Sure I will." Eli Apple's 20 years old. He kind of started he could be there at 30. That's the one I legitimately see could be a first-round grade, be at 30 this year. If you're twisting more on today, I think it's Eli Apple at 30. I think that'd be a good pick. have him set under Norman. You don't have to, if you sign Norman and have Benet playing outside and sign a free agent to play. I think they'll sign a free agent corner. That gives that kid a year. That gives that kid a year to get his feet wet. You don't have to put the world on top of his shoulders. Kind of like they did with Shaq last year. Shaq didn't have the world on top of his shoulders.
Not like Kelvin Benjamin did.
Right. So I think it could be corner would be a very smart play, especially set up for the future, because you don't know if Norman. It's just a lot of. It'd be a good solid pick at 30, a DB. I really like.
You know what I like about Apple? He's a big dude. He's bigger than Josh Norman. I mean, he's 6'1", 210 pounds. Ran a 4.40.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a big dude. So, yeah, it would be a great pick.
I mean, do you agree?
That's way faster than Norman too. Norman was a 4.68, I believe, or something like that.
I mean,
well, he's 200 pounds, not 210.
4.46.
He's a big boy. 6'1", 200 pounds at cornerback. And our system running a 4.40. It's pretty good.
I think Norman was 4.46 or something like that.
Mel, what is your thoughts on drafting that late? We've backed off. We're where we wanted to be. We're drafting 30th in the draft. When you're drafting that late, do you take the 10th best tackle or get the 4th best corner?
Honestly, I think for a team that won the NFC Championship, the NFC South, I think if the best player that you have rated is a guard, you take the guard. I don't think you go for a position. Honestly, I think you take the guy who you have rated highest. The only position off the board is quarterback and middle linebacker. Other than that, I think the sky's the limit.
I'm with Smoke. I think what Smoke's implying here is that the top grade, there's not going to be an offensive tackle that's better than the third corner at 30.
Well, maybe would be a great pick. Now, if he's not there, what do? I mean, there's some guys in the combine that caught my eye at other positions too. And I would not write off defensive end. If there is a blue goose at defensive end, somebody like Emmanuel Ogbah, who reminds me an awful lot of Charles Johnson, he has to be in the consideration.
Oh, yes. I would agree, but I think Ogbah put himself, I mean, with that number, I think he's going to go up the ladder. He could be there, but I don't.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think he's going to go earlier.
The one thing that I get nervous with drafting a defensive end early is that seems to be one of the slower positions to develop. I feel like a corner in his second year is already going to be starting if he's is at top of the game.
But
I feel like a defensive end takes like 3 years before.
I don't think we're in a position where you have to get immediate production.
Right.
So
okay. Tell us who caught your eye. What positions? Who caught your eye in the NFL Combine, Mel? I didn't watch but 8 minutes of it, and I am happy. I was so happy because, I mean, first I was busy, but last year how much I paid attention to this, and this isn't my wheelhouse like you guys. And I paid attention because that's what we had to pay attention to. It's nice to be that good to just be like, so tell me what you saw in the combine. I didn't watch it.
I agree. It's nice to be in a position where you're more worried about why you screwed up in the Super Bowl than who you're taking 10th overall in the draft.
That's right.
Yeah. Tell me, what did you see in the NFL Combine, Mel?
Well, the wide receivers were incredibly slow. I mean, I think Smoke Wagon can run a faster 40 than the average wide receiver out there. I mean, it was crazy. However, there's a couple of wide receivers that I would love to add to Cam Newton's toy box. Number one, if he falls to 30, which is a real possibility, wide receiver out of Notre Dame, Will Fuller, ran a 4.32 40, and this guy is 6 foot tall, 172 pounds, is also a punt returner. you fit that guy into there. He's replacing Jericho Contry, and he's taking over punt return duties long term for Ted Ginn. He's a team captain in Notre Dame, which is a high character. 4.32. Think about that. That's Ted Ginn speed. That's world class. That caught my eye. Now, if we don't go Fuller, a little bit later in the draft, maybe third round, another wide receiver that we actually met with that caught my eye is Oklahoma State wide receiver Sterling Shepard. Yeah, he ran a 4.5 40, but he's an automatic punt returner, slot receiver, and we met with him there, so that shows some real interest. Those are two wide receivers in a very slow wide receiver class. I mean, De'Runnya Wilson out of Florida, I believe he's at Florida State, the guy ran a 4.9 40.
What?
4.9.
That makes Funches look fast.
You know, I saw a barbecue sandwich the other day, and I ran faster after that sandwich than De'Runnya Wilson ran in the 40.
The misnomer Funches is Funches is really fast.
Yeah,
he's really
just had a bad 40 at the combine.
Yeah. Smoke, what do you Will Fuller? I'm curious to hear.
I think the answer's on the roster. I think Kevin Norwood, the guy they kept on the practice squad all year.
Oh my God, who is that? I never even heard of him. Actually, I've heard of him all over and over. It's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Who is this dude? I mean, I know who he is, but good Lord.
I think he takes over Contry's role. You got Benjamin Funches, and you still got Ginn and Brown.
But he's not a 4.32 guy.
No, he's not. But
Ginn is.
Ginn is.
But Ginn doesn't have hands. Missed him. He left him in Arizona.
But you know what? As far as another guy, another position that caught my eye at the combine, offensive line. I think it's fair to say that was one of our glaring strengths throughout the year, but it was a glaring weakness in the Super Bowl. Man, we need to solidify our tackles going forward. And one guy that could be available at pick 30 that could fit into that role very nicely is a guy by the name of Jason Spriggs out of Indiana. Dude is 6'7", 298 pounds, showed out at the NFL draft, showed off some quick feet, showed a real fast 40 for his size. I think that's something. I mean, we like our athletic tackles that can get out and pull. We don't, we're not just the big maulers. We like the guys that can get out and do some athletic moves. Jason Spriggs is a guy to keep an eye on, left tackle.
All right. What I was gonna. Oh, I finally remembered what I was gonna ask Smoke about is what are you thinking about Mike Tolbert coming back to the Carolina Panthers?
Ooh, loaded question.
20%.
20%.
Yeah.
Let it fly, man. Tell us what you're really thinking.
Yeah, talk to us about Tolbert, man. What do you think about Tolbert?
He's worried. He's worried that Tolbert's mama's watching.
Tolbert's mama is vicious. So you got to be careful.
She's protective.
If he does come back, it'll be a one-year deal at the most. But like I said, I think they go in a different direction this year. Because Tolbert, Gettleman alluded to, Tolbert does not play teams, does he?
No.
Gettleman wants that position also to be a teams guy. I think he said he wants teams. He wants him to do everything.
Kind of like Brockle.
Yeah. That's exactly. I think. Let me throw something at you. It's going to sound crazy. What if they are grooming Brandon Weger to take on Tolbert's role as far as the running back, out of the backfield, teams guy, the whole thing also? Weger is a stout running back.
He's pretty big.
Yeah, he is stout. I could see that. He's a good catcher of the football out of the backfield.
Yeah. And don't act like, and let's not fool ourselves, folks, and say there is going to be a drop off in blocking with anybody. Because I mean, Tolbert, he couldn't even. I mean, and look, I was hard on him before this season started, He does seem to have a contributing role on this team. But again, what I was hard on him about was very simple. Calling him a fullback is just making fun of his weight.
Yes.
I mean, he's a running back that they use as kind of a third down, almost like he's like a super fat Fozzie Whitaker.
Yes. They kept Weger around for a reason.
Yep, they like him. And Gettleman, in that same press conference you were talking about, that he's letting these things out. We mentioned that Gettleman is very honest in his press conferences.
Yes.
He singled out Weger.
He did.
Hey, and you know what? He looked great. He looked great. We talked to him. He has gotten his act together and become a stand-up dude. He was a guest on the show one time. Big fan of him here. And he had a fantastic preseason. Very simply put, the only reason he wasn't on that team is because when you're doing so well, you just need guys that have been there before.
Yes. Okay, you asked me, do I think he's going to be on the team? I said 20%. No. Let me ask you this question. Right now in his career, what does Mike Tolbert do that Brandon Weger could not accomplish or do himself? That's the question you got to ask yourself. What is Tolbert? He's not, like I said, he's not the lead blocking mauler fullback. And
he's not good on short yardage. He's never been. This whole idea that Tolbert has been great on short yardage is false.
Cam is using short yardage.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't put him in there and let Cam. And then on top of that, it takes Tolbert some time to get that locomotive rolling. And that's he does better.
Give the guy some credit though. I mean, he was an All-Pro, and it's his second time being an All-Pro with the Panthers, and he's making $2 million a year.
Well, let's put an asterisk beside that. He's getting selected as an All-Pro to a position he technically doesn't play. He's being claimed an All-Pro fullback.
However, he does add some incredible diversity to our run game. He is not a true fullback, and that's what Professor and I have been saying for over a year, and we've taken some heat for. But he is an incredible secondary on the run. He is a good running back.
I love that dramatic
disguised as a fullback.
I'm with you, Smoke, is that and I've been like this, and you know what? I ate my humble pie this year. I'm going to thank Tolbert very much for what he did for the team this year.
Yes.
Contributing factor. I'm not going to thank him for the 2 fumbles in the Super Bowl. I'm not going to thank him for missing blocks and whiffing and really what seems to be choosing not to block at times. Yeah. And I don't know what that is. And I don't know enough about the game to say, hey, that guy missed his assignment. But sometimes it sure looks like it. And I think you put it that way is that if you bring him back for any more than a 1-year deal and you keep him on the roster on top of that, you're really eating into the development of guys. And is he contributing that much to the team? What I think we should do is this absurd. I say thank Tolbert very kindly for what he's done. He's been distant about his contract stuff, so it doesn't seem like the Panthers are banging down his door. And what we really need is a guy that can come in if Jay Stu goes down. That's what we really need.
Oh, that's the other thing. When Stewart did get banged up in the Super Bowl, remember Tolbert was taking Cameron Artis-Payne's roster spot in that game.
Yeah.
Artis-Payne wasn't active because we had to active. Tolbert had to be active.
Right.
So if we're going to go that route, if you're only going to activate 2 or 3 guys, like I said, and like you said, Gettleman pointed out Weger. I would like Weger to at least have a shot. Bring in competition, but give him a shot to fill that niche on the team.
Well, you're going to put them in special teams. I almost say you use them. I'm okay with Fozzie not being back.
Yeah, I would agree.
What about this? Is this name ludicrous? Alfred Morris.
Yeah. Ludicrous.
Why? Why is that he's in a team that is going to be going to? He's a free agent, first of all. He has kind of gotten washed, he's gotten a little lost with so many running backs in Washington. He would not be able to take the starting role from Jonathan Stewart, but they could. I feel like this is that he might be a good guy to have if Stewart went down. I'd love to see Cameron Artis-Payne be in the starting role, but once you get in the doghouse, it's hard to get out. And I don't know
Just ask Josh Norman.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think I like Cap? I'm a Cap fan. I think that dude looks great when he's on the field.
Yeah.
I think we looked at times more dynamic with him, even when Stewart was out there at times. I love Stewart, hard runner, not the same home run hitting ability he used to have. Is that a guy that doesn't fit on this team, Alfred Morris?
I don't know. I just don't know if that's where you want to spend your free agency attention.
I'll give you a name that could cost less and actually would fit us more. Stephen Ridley.
Oh.
Okay. Former Patriot, right?
Yeah. I think he was with somebody else this last year, but his game fits us more as a runner.
Yeah, he's an improved Fozzie Whitaker.
He's just, and he's definitely not going to command anywhere near, just based on name recognition, the money more.
I think he went to the Jets last
year. You could pick him up. That would be a Gettleman move to me. Stephen Ridley. Keep that name in mind. You could pick him up on a 2-year deal, $4 million or $5, whatever. I mean.
So you guys think Jay Stu is definitely back next year?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I don't think you save enough money to part ways with him, and I think it'd be too hard to replace him. Here, look, a lot of people backing you up on YouTube. Terrence Murray, Wager is a guy that can take on Tolbert's spot. Younger, faster, more power. I liked him in Iowa. Him and Cap are the future because this is Stewart's last year also. Tolbert is gone. He was rarely used to begin with. He goes on to say, speed is what this offense needs in the backfield. We need it in the Super Bowl. We need more speed, and he doesn't offer that. I agree. But I think that a lot of people is that Tolbert's fun. The guys like him. He comes and does the cool cat crawl coming out of the locker room. But guess who that doesn't impress all that much? Dave Gettleman.
That's right.
So, all right. Last, any final thoughts before we do our ice up picks, fellas?
Well, I would just point out that Yes We Can out there on Twitter. He's put out there that Josh Dotson, who's a 6'3" wide receiver out of TCU, he's real high on him. He thinks that he would be a beast with Cam, and he would beat out Norwood. So a lot of discussion going on out there on Twitter about adding toys to Cam Newton's toy box.
Let me ask Smoke this. This is from Joe. And by the way, Joe is at home and on the mend, Joey's mending style, which is we miss you, Joe. He's watching the show right now. He asked this, and I'll let Smoke take it. Which positions are we needing immediate impact from rookies at this year?
This year, immediate impact?
I think it's corner.
Immediate impact from a rookie this year? None. Can't do it.
Isn't that a nice position to be in? That's a nice position to be in.
Bene had a tough injury. You're talking about Robert McClain. You got Josh Norman. That's all you got back there.
Well, let me rephrase it. You said immediate. Now, come week 12.
Right.
That's not immediate. Say 12, 13 weeks in, he gets more playing time, then he can have an impact. But you're talking about immediate, meaning week 1, week 2, none.
You think that is it easier for a rookie to play nickel, or is it easier for him to play the second cornerback position?
I would say nickel.
So maybe, I mean, I guess there is the theory you
I
could
would
maybe.
say, well, let me rephrase that. I would say nickel on this team because of our linebacker.
Yeah.
Right, they
Yeah.
make everybody's life better.
Yes. I mean, so a nickel would be an easier one to fill in because of the leadership of Kuechly. And don't let me tell you something. You saw it at the end of last year, and this is a little real early prediction. Shaq Thompson's going to blow the NFL up next year.
Oh, amen to that. Amen to that.
I think you're going to see him just emerge on the field. Like, the offenses won't have no answer for him kind of deal. They're going to use him in so many
I
ways
agree.
next year. It's going to be mind-blowing.
I wouldn't be surprised if you just see a ton of, and I thought we saw it much more later in the season, the Panthers in 3 linebacker sets. And I don't think that slows us down. I actually think you can do all types of crazy stuff with Shaq where he's almost, I call him a nickelbacker. Because,
Nice.
I mean, you see him running down the damn field with dudes. You see him getting in the backfield. He's going to be amazing. I think, too, you mentioned something earlier in the show, is that he the weight of the world was not put on his shoulders this year, and I think that actually will speed his development rather than slowing it. All right, let's go ahead and do our ice up picks and get out of here, fellas. We're gonna get out of here at 10 o'clock tonight. We gotta ice somebody up at the end. Who you guys got? Mel, you want to start?
Sure, and I'll just keep it real simple. You know, I mean, we're paying Cam Newton what, $20 million or so a year. $20 million sounds like a incredible amount of money, and it really is. But this league is all about opportunity. I mean, just think, would you rather pay Cam or do what Philadelphia today? These guys, the Philadelphia Eagles, had to shell out $18 million a year for Sam Bradford over the next 2 years.
You know who? You know what? Is that St. Louis just wrote St. Louis, the city of St. Louis, just wrote Philadelphia a letter and said, "Cry me a river."
Cry me a river, baby. I mean, they had to give that guy $26 million guaranteed. So for everybody out there saying Newton, ice up, son, because we sure as hell did not. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. You had to pay $18 million over the next 2 years for Sam Bradford, who is a very, very average quarterback. I would say he is the average quarterback out there.
Yeah, all right. Well, ice up, Sam Bradford.
Ice up.
Smoke, you got an ice up pick for us?
Yes, I have one. Something to get off my mind. I was been wanting to say this, and I'm bad about this too, but I've gotten better. I want everyone in the media world not to trash young men, and because they either all cannot run this fast, or we didn't see that coming, or he's a bum now.
Right.
They're all. Let me leave you. They're all superior athletes to me, you, and the other person typing on the keyboard. And
I don't know, Smoke Wagon. I've seen you do the 40, man. You're pretty superior. Don't sell yourself short.
and whether they make it in the NFL or not, that's up to the GMs and the teams in the league to decide. Not somebody that writes a 2-minute skit that says so-and-so can't play, and 10 years later that same player's about to go into Canton that they said they couldn't play.
Heck yeah. Hey, man. Mike Mayock actually said Blaine Gabbert was the guy for the Panthers to take #1 overall.
Oh, there was a lot of guys that said that. Here, I think this goes back is maybe Cam isn't so crazy when he said he wanted these guys fined for the crap they write. He said, "Look, I throw a pick, you damn crucify me over an interception. You guys can write all kinds of crap, and then it turns out wrong." And what you're talking about, Jared Allen? You're talking about a Jared Allen that's going into the Hall of Fame because of, and that's the type of guy that they're talking about. Smoke.
Yep.
All right, to keyboard puncher, ice up. My ice up. Look, I am a very political person, and look, I never talk politics on the podcast. I actually started this website with Joe as a way to find another avenue to debate and discuss things to where, look, I just realized you're not going to change people's opinions about politics. They already hold them. I was spending so much time getting furious about stuff, getting in what I would call a Facebook war with family members and be like, y'all are just feeling like I have this obligation to change your minds. Whatever I could have done, clearly this GOP candidacy, sorry folks, the whole running shows that maybe I should have just become a politician and not a podcaster in my spare time, because this is a joke. This is an absolute joke, and I'm not talking about politics as in the positions. I'm not talking about if you're conservative leaning, you're liberal leaning, and I don't want to offend viewers and listeners, because where all of our political opinions are, have some weight, unless you firmly believe that these 5 dudes who were fielded by the GOP are serious, man. I cannot tell if it's an SNL skit every time I turn on the TV or if it's legitimate. I think tonight was Super Tuesday, and it was usually, I always say every Tuesday's Super because we're doing the C3 podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
But I think it looks like Donald Trump, and I'm just Googling it. I haven't watched any of it. It looks like Donald Trump is still winning. I would be upset about that, except for Ted Cruz and Rubio are the second best and third best behind them, and they are equally a joke. So to you, GOP, you better get it together. Can you not field somebody a little better? You just selected Blaine Gabbert to be your nominee. I truly say to you, ice up. And if you didn't think that you were feeling the ice up now, the party of the white man just got whooped by a black dude twice, and now a chick. So, sorry.
So, I mean, when did U.S. politics get to the point where they're making references to the size of their opponent's penis as a joke?
Here's
crazy.
Let me ask you this about. I'll leave. I don't want to get into it. Of all the candidates, no matter who you vote for, how many of these candidates make you feel like, yes, that's the leader of a country?
None. That is my point.
Like, like what your preference is. None of them have like, that's my leader. Let's go to battle. No. I turned on one of the debates, Smoke, and my wife does not watch any of it. She hates all of it. And I said, look at this. You got to see this. And I turned it on, and I paused it. I would let each person give their closing remarks. And Ted Cruz comes up, and before he said a word, she goes, "Oh, hell no." She just kept looking at that guy. He can't be our president. I agree wholeheartedly. So, to you folks, this isn't an ice up. I'm throwing Dave Gettleman's name in the ring for president.
Nice. Hail nipple shorts.
I will go to war for that guy, and look at those dudes who did it. This is C3 Podcast. Tell them how they can find you on Twitter. He's not changing his name to the Prophet, even though that's what I'm calling him. Where can they find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at S Slater or Sam Slater. Smoke Wagon's my handle on Twitter. That's all you have to type in. It'll pull up my icon now is a little thing of instant grits or instant oatmeal. Sorry, I changed.
That's right.
I like instant grits, man.
And you can find me around here talking to these guys and other people when I get a chance during the day. I've really enjoyed it tonight. Thanks for having me on. And I agree. Dave Gettleman, at least he could balance the budget and get the best people and all.
Oh, God. Your cap situation would be great.
Yes, sir. I like it.
That's right. Well, you know what? I'm writing them in. That's what I'm doing.
Nice. Love it.
I'm writing them in. Okay, Mel Mayock, tell them how they can find you on the intranet.
Catch me anytime out there. If you're a Panther fan, give me a follow at Panthers Drafter. We'll talk Panther football any time of day, anything you want to talk about. I'm also a draft analyst over there at Draft Tech. New mock draft coming out every Thursday, so check that out. And then go to Carolina Cat Chronicles every single day. Check out what's going on from the fan perspective. And if you want to write, there is the ability to go out and make your own post and let your voice be heard. That's the thing about Panther Nation. We are a nation of many voices. So don't feel like you're just a person in the audience. If you want to be a part of the action, get involved. Let us know. We'll get your voice out there. That's what we're all about. So let's have fun. That's what sports are all about. It's fun.
Right.
Yeah, let's have fun. This is C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where no person is safe and everybody follows Dave Gettleman into battle. I'm Tony Dunn, the professor. We'll see you back on Tuesday, 10 p.m. In the meantime, go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com and buy some stuff. Make a donation. If not, just leave a comment and have fun. And go Panthers.
Go Panthers.